So those songs are Weather Report from off the album Mr. Gone, and the Weather Report is, in my opinion, is and many other musicians' opinions, is probably really popular because Jaco Pastorius graced their band with his presence. Actually, I have a quote here from one of the members of a Weather Report before Jaco was in the band. He went up to this guy Joe Zawinul, and he was like, "I'm the greatest bass player of all time," and he was like, "Nah, no, you're not. Like, I don't even care." Like, just like kind of was like, "All right, you're kind of weird, dude. All right." And then later on, Jaco handed him his album, and he listened to it. He's like, "All right, whatever. I'll listen to this. I'll see. I'll check it out and see what happens." And he's like, "Oh wait, he actually was." So Jaco Pastorius is known as probably a legendary jazz fusion bass player. He's known for his technique and his tone, which is what I'm gonna go over today. So first of all, the first thing I would like to go over is his guitar and what kind of guitar he used. So he was born in, I think, Pennsylvania, but he grew up in Florida. And in Florida, it's pretty humid there, right? It's kind of, really hot. So he had a double bass, and this double bass is a big, huge instrument, and you have to take care of it, and it's kind of a lot of money if, you have to deal with it exploding in your living room, which is what he had to deal with. The neck snapped in half, and he was like, "All right, man, I'm done with that. Like, I can't afford to keep playing that and keeping up with that, so I'm gonna have to find a way to make a fast way to do that." So Jaco Pastorius, the crazy man that he is, he took some. You ever seen a bass before? You have these like frets right here. He just took a knife and like chipped them all out and like sanded them down and everything. And then he was like, "All right, fretless bass." Like first guy to ever create that concept in general is the fretless bass. And so that's kind of where he gets most of his tone. He plays through his Fender Jazz bass, and that's pretty much standard. Any musician role, that's like the standard one. But he took the plate off, and the way that he would play is he would turn down his front pickups, like these over here, and then in the back he'd play right on top of those. And I'll give you a demonstration about that a little bit later. But two, I wanted to go over actually what the name of the bass was called. It's the Bass of Doom is what his was called. Not this one, but and it's actually in the hands of the bassist Trujillo. The current member of Metallica bassist right now. He actually has it in his possession, and he played it in New York, which was the last place that it was found because it got lost in like the 70s and then reappeared in 2007. So anyway, second, I would like to go over his gear, which is he made his own. It was really new, the electric bass at the time, and so he had to kind of make all of his own stuff. He worked with Larry Hartke, and he was the first. Jaco was the first guy to be like, "All right, dude, let's put some aluminum in there to make it sound like that. What would happen if that happened?" So they created the amp, and then he played through something called just amp. Like that's what they called the actual amplifier that he played through. But that's the amp that he played through for most of his career. And so he also had another part of his tones that was really familiar, which I'll also show you in a second, is his chorus, which he had I found from equipboard.com. Really awesome website. You should check it out if you're a musician into gear. MXR digital delay rack mount is what he had. So they didn't have pedals back then. It was more of like a thing that went on top of his amp. He dealt with himself. And so basically that's kind of that's what mainly got most of his tone. But also now I can kind of show you what like his tone, how he got his tone really. When it comes to like technique, he did a lot of players like you can hear this at all. Let me turn it up a little bit. You can hear how it's kind of really thicker a little bit. You can kind of hear that. But down here, right over this pickup, it kind of gets like a little bit fuzzy like that, I guess. A little bit like cleaner of a trebly kind of feel. And then he had his chorus effect on, which is on right there. It's kind of like a wobbly effect. But so he did. So that's kind of Jaco's sound in general. Was playing up here. He also did a lot of harmonics, which would be like that kind of thing. Artificial harmonics is really a part of his style as well. So really, his technique, where he played on the bass, where his equipment is from, and just kind of like his bass in general, which was the Fender Jazz Bass, is what made his sound and his tone. And that's Jaco Pastorius. If you don't know of him, you should definitely check out his music, or definitely check out his work with Jody Mitchell or Pat Metheny, or really any Weather Report. Honestly, check it out. Teen Time's a really good song. So that's Jaco Pastorius and his tone.